Spring-summer 2026 in Paris and Milan didn't ask for attention, it earned it. After a few seasons of noise, fashion rediscovered breath. Fabrics moved like air with structure, ideas arrived with context, and the most powerful statements were not shouted from sets but whispered through proportioned touch and time. If you were listening, you heard three chords running through both cities: clarity of line, intimacy of craft, and a new kind of play that respects intelligence. This is not trend chasing, this is a vocabulary women can actually live in. The first current is lightness with authority. Designers treated weight as a design choice rather than a default. Lines grew long and uninterrupted, columns that skim, trousers that graze, coats that fall without effort. It's the return of vertical thinking, silhouettes that draw the eye down and elongate the body without tightening it. The effect is calming, almost architectural, the opposite of novelty for novelty's sake. The message beneath it is modern. You can be decisive and soft at once. In daylight, this reads as competence. At night, it reads as grace. Transparency matured, not the performative sheerness of seasons past, but transparency as atmosphere, gauze over tailoring, nets that filter light rather than expose skin, voiles layered with matte underpinnings so the body is suggested, not served. This is fashion's version of good lighting. It flatters the person first and the garment second, which is why women respond to it. Sheerness becomes a tool for temperature, for motion, for privacy, for intrigue. When done well, it looks less like a trend and more like a way to edit the day. Craft became the new status symbol, but with restraint. You could read the hand in so many pieces. Crochet that mapped the body like cartography, embroidery that told stories in the quietest way, fringe that behaved like physics, not decoration. The point wasn't to say expensive, the point was to say someone cared. That's the luxury we want right now. In an era of duplication, authenticity is textural. What lasts is what has fingerprints. Tailoring softened without losing its bones. Blazers curved at the shoulder, waists were traced, not pinched, and trousers had that measured drift that comes from knowing how to cut rather than how to glue. There's an important psychological shift here. Authority used to mean armor. SS26 suggests authority is ease. The suit is no longer a costume of power. It's a tool for presence. Women are gravitating toward jackets that sit a breath off the body and trousers that move like good conversation, direct, warm, and unforced. Color strategy settled into confidence. You saw the new neutrals, bone, stone, tobacco, slate, playing backdrop to intelligent brights used like punctuation. Reds leaned lacquered and blue leaned ink. Metallics showed up during the day, but with a brushed, lived-in surface. The most modern palettes read as temperature control, a cool silver against warm brown, an off-white against olive navy holding everything together. It looks expensive because it's edited. This is how you make a wardrobe feel new without replacing it. Accessories told the truth about the clothes. Bags went sculptural rather than huge, rounded top handles, moons, spheres, and precise rectangles. Objects you want to hold because they complete the sentence rather than overwhelm it. Hardware had weight but not volume, often hidden inside as counterweight, giving a clean exterior that still moves with the body. Shoes stayed grounded. Even when heels appeared, they were engineered, not precarious. Flared bases, architectural kitten heights, flats with sharpened lines. It's mobility as luxury again. The most stylish women are writing long days. Their shoes must speak in complete sentences. The body language of the season is covered but lucid. Shoulders are relaxed, clavicles are softly framed, backs are acknowledged. There's sensuality in how clothes hover rather than grip. Consider the rise of the column knit in summer weights, of the long skirt with intelligent slit placement, of the airy coat that wraps and releases. These are not trends designed for one photo, they're designed for a life, which is why they'll endure beyond a hashtag. Sport met elegance at a higher frequency, but with manners. Drawstrings appeared where they solve a problem, not to cosplay utility. Technical fabrics were chosen for memory and drape, then tempered with natural fibers so the touch stayed human. You could feel this in pieces that look ready for movement, but read as city clothes. The lesson is integration. Performance elements belong when they improve the way something hangs, not when they scream function in a formal room. Logos retreated into gamesmanship. You saw brand languages embedded in surfaces. tweeds reimagined as nets, quilting translated into knit structures, signature chains implied as weight or shadow rather than stamped on the outside. It's the evolution of identity from label to code. The pleasure comes from recognition, not announcement. Consumers are wise to marketing. What captivates now is a designer conversing with a house instead of imitating it. There was a tangible effort to make clothes that survive context. Many looks felt modular without becoming sterile. Layers that slide, pieces that stack, garments that can turn a desk day into a dinner without a costume change. The success of this approach isn't minimalism. It's intention. When you reduce friction between parts of your day, your clothes start to feel like tools rather than trophies. That's the quiet, grown-up obsession this season fed beautifully. Volume behaved better. Instead of ballooning indiscriminately, it curved where it flatters and contracted where it counts. Sleeves widened at the forearm to move like air and then tapered to slip into a jacket. Skirts swelled at the stride and slimmed at the sit. Coats cocooned at the back and fronted a clear line. Thoughtful volume doesn't make you larger, it makes the space around you yours. That's why it looks modern and why it photographs like a dream. There's a sustainability of attitude as well as material, repair-minded details, finishes that age with dignity, fabrics that don't announce price, but announce permanence. You felt the industry shifting from performative green to pragmatic good, less preaching, more practice. A piece that can be rewoven, a knit that can be de-pilled, a leather that softens rather than cracks. The real luxury is maintenance built in. Beauty and styling followed suit. Hair looked like itself but edited, skin with dimension not gloss, lips blurred rather than bordered. Jewelry sat close to the face or strong at the wrist, sculptural, singular, never jingling. Belts returned as architecture, not to shout brand but to draw a line through volume and give clarity. Scarves came back as strategy. A single wrap can realign proportion, add movement and turn an old coat into a new idea. This is trend as technique, which is the most useful kind. Showmaking matured. The spectacle didn't vanish, but the best moments were about framing, not drowning the clothes. Sets echoed themes without replacing them. Planets to explain scale, gardens to explain growth, libraries to explain intellect. You left remembering a cut, not a stunt. Casting expanded quietly in age and body, and the garments were designed to respect that truth. When fashion treats women as future repeat customers rather than one-time images, the clothes gain a different dignity on the runway. Culturally, Paris and Milan read the room. Economic reality demands pieces that justify themselves, and the collections responded with garments that perform across seasons. The rise of day-to-night knits, of airy suiting, of grounded footwear, these are not accidents. They respect the wallet and the calendar. Simultaneously, there's fantasy, but it arrives through movement and material rather than costuming. Feathers appeared as physics, fringe drew sound, not attention. Metallics behaved like water. Fantasy as sensation is more durable than fantasy as ornament. What we call trends are underneath choices about time. SS26 chooses continuity over chaos. It asks, what can you wear now that still feels right when the algorithm has moved on? The answers look like this: a column you edit with a scarf, a soft jacket that changes tone with the shoe, a bag with a shape you can spot across a decade, a palette that doesn't fight your skin, jewelry that could have belonged to your future self. That's why these ideas resonated in two different capitals. They are portable. If you want a summary to hold on to proportion and touch. Length over shortness, curve over bulk, weight where it serves, air where it flatters. Touch that is matte, brushed, crinkled, hammered, knitted with intention. A wardrobe that reads as quiet expertise. This is the season where the best-dressed women will look the most at ease. Not because they chose less, but because they chose precisely. Paris refined the argument, Milan grounded it. Together they gave us a summer language that translates from office to evening, city to coast, 25 to 65, without apology. The excitement isn't in discovering a gimmick, it's in realizing how good clothes can make your life feel better, organized. That's why these trends will stick. They're not telling you who to be, they're helping you be legible. And that is the joy of spring-summer 2026. Fashion is listening again. It's designing not just for the photo, but for the next morning. It is confident enough to be quiet, romantic enough to be practical, and modern enough to admit that elegance today is clarity you can move in. If you build your season around that, line, touch, proportion, a single decisive accessory, you won't just look current, you'll look inevitable.